It's Connie's big day. After being an orphan for most of her life, she has finally gotten to the age where she can finally leave her orphanage, where she lives with other infants and children who are parentless just like her. But as she is leaving, her friends Norman and Emma see that she dropped her favorite teddy bear. So they go to give it to her. Not thinking they would get in trouble, they go to the forbidden gate to give her the teddy bear, and what they see completely changes everything. Connie is dead, and they see a horrific monster, but not only that, Mother Isabella, the woman who has taken care of them for their whole life, is talking to this monster. The truth is that their human cattle meant as food for this horrific creature, and now it is up to Emma and Norman to save everyone at the orphanage and escape the evil grasp of Mother Isabella. But they're running out of time as they're constantly being shipped off as food. This is The Promised Neverland. The Promised Neverland is based off the manga of the same name by Kayu Shirai and Posuka Dimizu. The anime is produced by Cloverworks, who are the studio behind Bunny Girl Senpai, among others, and the series is 12 episodes, airing on virtually every platform besides Amazon Prime and Netflix. It is directed by Mamoru Kanbei, who has directed The Radio Wave-like Girlfriend, which I have a review for, and Eyes Pure. The story of Promised Neverland is very focused and very clear on what the goal of the story is, and that is for these children to escape this living nightmare of a home they live in. And it's very good at telling that story by adding incredible stakes, suspense, drama, and even horror at some points. In many ways, this anime outdoes even the most popular horror anime out there. Though, when you look at the horror genre in anime, there isn't too much to be desired anyways. But Promised Neverland outright eats that genre's lunch, and then some, because while I wouldn't say this anime is a horror in the least, the horror elements it adds in bits and pieces is perfect for what this show is. And I think another reason the story works so well is because of its pacing. Because, in case you forgot, this show is just 12 episodes long, not 24, meaning it doesn't have to worry about adapting a whole slew of episodes. It can just focus on making sure the episodes in this anime are the best that they can be. Each episode adds something new, and if it doesn't add something new, it puts a twist in our character's journey and keeps you guessing. And because of this, episodes 8 through 12 are absolutely some of the best experiences I've had in anime in quite some time. And that isn't recency bias talking either. I absolutely enjoyed Emma, Norman, and Ray's journey to find the truth and to escape their nightmare. Every twist and turn added stakes, because at any moment these characters can be killed by a very insidious looking Mother Isabella, or by the crazed lunatic Sister Crone. It's a minefield in many ways that these characters have to navigate to get their freedom. They know they are cattle, and because of that, they have to keep that knowledge a secret from Isabella, or else they'll be sent off as food. And speaking of, talking about that scene where Emma and Norman discover the secret, it's one of the most memorable moments of this show, and that's just the first episode. Now think about what happens in the rest of the series, how they build that episode up, the foreshadowing from Emma's dialogue, and how everything looks so warm and full of love, but after that realization of why they're there, that they're human cattle, it completely changes the tone of the show. The warmness turns into horror, and that love is replaced with a certain guarantee that they're going to die young. Characters here are very well done, and they manage to characterize them pretty much completely after a couple episodes. Emma is your very shonen-esque character who wants to save everyone, Norman is the man with the plan, the brains of the operation, and Ray is the leader who takes action. And it's this main core that make up this show's most important characters. You will go through a journey with these three that will make you love them and root for their escape from Isabella's grasp. And speaking of, you can't forget Isabella, the woman who sends these kids away to be food. She's easily one of the most memorable characters in this anime, and is a very good villain, and sometimes even borders into monster territory with how smart and cunning she is. Because behind that motherly haircut, outfit, and smile is a dark, sinister, and evil woman who doesn't care what happens to these kids. And she's the perfect villain for them as well. She is the spitting image of a great mother, and that is what makes her horrifying. amazing. And we also can't forget Sister Crone either, whose impact on this show will be everlasting for as long as it exists. What was a character that I thought would be a nobody turned out to be a very important part of the show. And really, The Promised Neverland is so good because of its character writing. Without that, I wouldn't care for any of the kids or adults, and it would have been very forgettable. Because in a show like this, that's character driven, you need to have those characters be the best that they can be. There are no excuses. The execution, no pun intended, has to be on the mark or else the whole experience suffers greatly. But I guarantee you won't be forgetting the characters Mother Isabella, Sister Crone, Emma, Ray, Norman, or even the most minor of characters like Phil, who has become a meme and has a standout moment in episode 11. When it was announced that Cloverworks was doing The Promised Neverland, I was skeptical with how they were going to pull this off. I liked the way Darling in the Franxx looked, but it was a pretty bad show from beginning to end, and with Bunny Girl Senpai, the middle was so boring, and if it weren't for a podcast I was doing it for, I would have dropped the show. But I was worried about the story. Little did I know that the most disappointing aspect of this show is the art. But lo and behold, let me set the record straight. I actually love the art design and the way this show looks. My issues go fairly deeper. The backgrounds. So most likely you guys wouldn't have noticed, but there was a lot of CGI models being used in this anime. And if that is surprising to you, that is a testament to how well they have kept it hidden. But what disappoints me is that all of these generic CGI models they use are just that, generic. And not only that, but I feel like I've seen them before in other shows, but I don't have proof of that. And this isn't surprising because I was actually reading a blog about this anime and its backgrounds from the people who are actually in the know about this stuff, and it turns out that they actually outsourced the backgrounds to another studio who is known for using generic backgrounds that require no real effort to produce. This makes the show's backgrounds to me look forgettable a good majority of the time. The only thing that stands out to me is the character designs and not anything that has to do with the house or the walls or anything else. I mean, just think about it. Does the house look as memorable as any other house? In what way does this house set itself apart from other houses? Now, think about what happens inside of that house. It's, to put it bluntly, a barn for cattle, human cattle. This house, upon that realization, should look frightening, but it just doesn't. It's a house, and that's a wall, and that gate is a gate. Nothing to it, nothing more. But here is where I make up for my nitpicky-ish criticisms. You can enjoy the anime, and it won't harm your enjoyment a bit to have these kind of designs. While they are just backgrounds and nothing more, this show is more about how they use the animation techniques and the character writing. Yeah, the backgrounds suck, but you also have unique and original character designs that catch the eye. And as for criticisms of the character designs, I don't understand the criticisms of the character designs and how the mouth goes halfway up their face and because of that they're not good. To me, that is a case of not liking the art direction, and that's fine, but I don't understand it. Every anime has to have a unique art direction and look. They can't just all look like Bones anime, and Bones anime can't all look like Madhouse anime. Cloverworks did an outstanding job making sure that their characters not only looked beautiful and well designed, but as memorable and integral to the look of the series as possible. As for the animation, there is a hell of a lot to admire here and a hell of a lot to criticize. So let's get the negativity out of the way first since we're already there. They use too much bloom and blur. Just take, for example, the opening sequence where Emma grabs onto the bars and you get to see her face. That looks ridiculous, and it's just as bad in other scenes as well. Scenes that, may I add, don't even need it. This show's obsession with blurring out everything and its overuse of bloom is downright comedic at the best of times. Sure, at points, a little bit of bloom works, but sometimes I can't even make out the outline of the characters because they use so much of it. Some would say this is artistic expression. I would say this is artistic obsession. As for the good, well, there is quite a bit of it, and some of the best examples of this show are outstanding. For example, in one episode, a scene starts from the perspective of one of the children, and it builds incredible tension and atmosphere for that scene. Another example, and I'm not kidding, a moving tracking shot where the cameraman follows Norman walking down a hallway. These two techniques are incredible to me because, while they're not perfect, especially the latter, because the tracking shot is all CGI besides Norman, who is 2D, which makes it look a little wonky, but it's the fact they attempted to do such complicated shots in this anime, which usually don't have shots like these because they're notoriously hard to pull off. This is why we see a lot of cuts and panning shots in anime as well. So, good on this show for implementing compelling techniques that make The Promised Neverland look more than just a basic cut and pan anime. This to me joins Land of the Lustrous at the top of the best CGI and original production in anime right now. The score in this show is underwhelming to say the least. It's a mixed bag, and it's not because it's not bad, but because it doesn't stand out to me at all. And for most people, the score will be fine for everyone. But as a person who likes to listen to scores and analyze them and see how they can make the show better, Promised Neverland isn't going to move the needle. And this is not surprising in the least because the music is by Takahiro Obata, who I know nothing about. Not saying he's bad, I just don't know if he is any good because he's only done one other anime, so yeah. And as for opening and endings, you get one opening, and this time 2 endings, which is unique for a 12-episode anime. And while I don't like the opening, I love the 2 ending songs as they are very progressive and implement a lot of jazz techniques too. Truly some of the better anime endings I've heard, based off my own tastes. The Promised Neverland is one of the best outings this year, and the year has only begun. And as well, in a season with other potential all-time greats, I wonder how this will age, but I think for now, this will be essential viewing for any fan of a good story. The characters are memorable, the villain is unforgettable, and while the show doesn't nail all the things it wants to do in terms of its production, it's not something that will want you to drop this series outright. If you're wondering my recommendation for this show, all you have to know is that yes, I recommend this. Watch it. Watch it now. So there it is. My review for The Promised Neverland. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell and throw me $1 on Patreon if you have $1 to spare. And comment what you think about The Promised Neverland down below. And if you're new to the channel, click on some of these videos. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.